Well, g'day and welcome back to the shed. I've just got back from a little holiday in Tasmania, and before we get into the radios, I've put together a bit of video about that, so I'll put that up next. If you're not interested, skip through it by all means, and then I'll come back and I'll show you what I brought back with me.
Too many of them working. serving Tasmanian beers, wines and spirits. A sponsor of City Park
by the
Radio.
Community Broadcasting Foundation.
And now the weather information for tonight, well, for the rest of the day I should say. For Launceston, a partly cloudy day and northerly winds 15 to 25 kilometres per hour from now on, and then they'll become light in the late evening. Fire danger is high across our region. Sun protection recommended through until 5:30. The UV index is very high. The outlook for Saturday, partly cloudy and 29, Sunday partly cloudy 28, and then a string of 29s right through until Wednesday anyway, at least. Beautiful warm weather here in the north of the state. Top temperature today should be 25 degrees, and looking at the current observations here in the central north, please take it at 12 o'clock. Low head 19.2 degrees, 20.6 at the airport and 21.8 at the Launceston Weather Central here in Launceston. That's our news, sport and weather to the hour. We'll check the weather again at 1 o'clock following the news. Thanks to Peter Shushenko for Mornings With here on City Park Radio, but now it's time for the long lunch program with Chris, and we've got some great music and entertainment lined up for you for the next 2 hours on your community station, City Park Radio. Let's start with Ultravox and Dancing with Tears in My Eyes. It was a big weekend, of course, and most of the old folk people are heading towards Georgetown as we speak for the Tamar Folk Festival. It's on this weekend, tonight, tomorrow and Sunday, and lots of events happening. I'll tell you about a couple a little bit later on in the program. And of course, if there's a few lonely musicians and wandering around Launceston at the moment and they want to pop into the studio, they're welcome to do so. I'd love to have a chat to them, maybe bring their fiddle, their guitar, perhaps a penny whistle perhaps. But no bagpipes, please. Not in the studios. Called Restless Years. You're with City Park Radio, community radio here in Launceston.
Susan of Booked Again is at the Cosgrove Park Bowls Club on the last Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday of every month. New stock arrives daily, so call in for a bargain with thousands of books in all genres to choose from. A great range of clothing and DVDs is also in store. Please enter from the Bowling Green entrance and say hi to Susan. She'd love to meet you. Booked Again, the sponsor of City Park Radio.
We're a community radio station. I mentioned a little bit earlier, our museum is closed next week. These people are very lucky they got in today. I've got Dawn, she's come from the Hawkesbury area near the Blue Mountains, is that right?
Yes, on the way to the Blue Mountains.
On the way to the Blue Mountains. Yes. You get all the water when it comes off the mountains.
Split up the numbers. We do a regular 9:30 Monday to Friday newspaper read, the local Examiner.
Okay,
and we get the volunteers come in to read excerpts from the paper. So we have about 3 people, so they have to split up out of the studio, so it's set up here for that. But when you see this set up with instruments, baffles, filters about the place, lots of microphones and things, it's actually a very good room.
Here we are finally celebrating. It's only taken us about 4 years or 5 years?
How long since you moved in here?
2 years ago. Did we? I think we might have even had the idea of doing this in Dingley.
Yeah, I reckon we did too.
Yeah. Anyway, we're very happy to have you here. And look at this magnificent vegetarian paella.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe now. Thank you. Bye.
Well, we're not in Tassie anymore. I'm back in Melbourne, staying at a friend's place, and I've just picked up this little radiola here. It was advertised nearby, and I really couldn't say no. I'm not sure how I'm going to get it back to Perth yet. And in case you're wondering about all this art stuff around here, I'm staying with a friend called Nikki Carter, and she runs art workshops. And it's a little business she runs from her home here and teaches people how to paint, people who have not got a clue how to paint. Pretty clever, really. I'll put a link in the description. If you've just bought a radio and you need to keep your wife happy, you could send her on an art workshop, and that'll distract her for ages, I guarantee it. Anyway, let's have a look at this radio. So here it is, and it's absolutely filthy. The guy that sold it to me wiped it over with a damp cloth just to show that the dirt came off. I probably would have preferred he left it alone. It's sat in a garage for a very long time. He told me that his father bought it when they migrated to Australia from, I think, Hungary in the 1950s, and it's a mid to late 50s radiola. And this particular one has, you can see in there, it's got a ferrite rod antenna, and it's got a 240 volt outlet on the back, which appears to be factory. So this will require a good deal of cleaning up. The fun bit is going to be carrying it back to Perth, and I think it might just fit in my backpack here. I'm going to give it a go anyway. If it'll fit in here, I'll take it as carry-on luggage, because I don't trust the airlines with it. Yeah, that will fit in there nicely, so I think we'll be able to get it back to Perth that way. Well, that turned out a little bit longer than I'd expected, and that's after I cut half of it out. Hope it didn't bore you too much. Anyway, we've got the radio back here. Let me tell you, this is a heavy lump to cart around in a backpack. But got it back successfully. It's pretty grotty, so let's have a look at it, see what we've got here. It is incredibly grimy, but I can't see any real damage on it. I think this will actually clean up all right. I'm a bit concerned about this bronze coloured metal dial face here. Might clean up all right, I'm not too sure. I'll have to see what I can do with it. It is, the bronze or the metal is corroded in there. So this says alarm off manual. It's set to off at the moment. So that probably functions as the on-off switch for the radio. I notice there's no volume control switch. This thing says slumber, and it has a number of minutes around there, but it doesn't seem to do anything. And this one here seems to set the alarm. Moves that little wheel around in there. If anyone knows anything about these clocks, perhaps they can give me some pointers. Okay, well, let's have a look inside. I'll turn it around, and it's got a couple of screws there. I was trying to work out the model number, and I put it on, don't lose that, put that on a Facebook group, and someone told me they believe it's 563 MAZ. Now the last digit on this looks like a 7, but it could be the stamp didn't work well. Is that going to come off? No. I'll need to undo these. I wonder how the cord comes out this hole in the bottom. Not very convenient because it tends to kink the cord. I guess that's original. Alright, let's have a look, let's see what we've got. Okay, and of course this power point is still connected. Very dusty. Very, very dusty. Piece of paper. Come on, it's stuck. I guess it's yeah, valve diagram, I guess. Pretty decrepit. Caution, voltage rating, power consumption 40 watts, where the aerial is, and valves. So we've got a 6BE6 in the front end, a 6BA6, 6AV6, a 6AQ5 and a 6X4 rectifier that'll be. Inside it's very, very dusty. The aerial wire obviously goes from the ferrite rod in there and out here. That'll be an earth. These look like timber pieces underneath here, and nothing appears changed. I hesitate to say it, but this may not have been messed with at all. It may have not have been opened since 1950 something, who knows. We've got a, I think it's about a 4-inch speaker there. Transformer obviously. Dial cord's intact. I think this is possibly the original cord. That looks like rubber wire in there. You can push it through. And it actually seems soft and pliable, which is amazing for a rubber cord this old. We have the same type of wire up here onto the power socket, and I'm told that this socket is also switched with the radio alarm, so that it will turn on your bedside lamp or whatever at the same time it turns the alarm on. This looks rather crumbly, the wire on here. In fact, that's falling away. That'll need to be fixed. Alright, well I guess we better take the front half of the case off. I'll probably have to unscrew that socket there, so I'll do that before we go any further. Okay, so the screws are out. I'll just take this out and put the back panel aside. Look at the dust. I don't know if you can see that in there. Very thick dust and a bit of Mars bar wrapper there. A few bugs. Now, let's see what we need to do to get this out. The clock seems to be in a separate case and it is attached to this plug. I can't see any electrolytic filter caps on top of the chassis, so I guess they may have been fitted underneath. They must have been. Well, I suppose if I turn this over, I'll take out the front two chassis screws and see what happens. Now I guess these knobs will have to come off. Yeah. So they appear to be a push fit. They'll need some fixing up as well. That line around the outside is kind of visible on that, but it's deeper on this one. And the gold or brass plating on the centre seems to have gone completely. Let's see. Yes, so we can lift the front of the cabinet off. So looking underneath, yes, there are two filter caps. UCC brand and a number of these black plastic caps. That one's obviously cracked. That one's got a crack around here. Little mica there. There's another one behind this filter cap here. I can't see any fresh solder anywhere there, and no components look to have been replaced. I could almost believe that this radio hasn't been ever opened before. It is very, very dusty, and no sign of any replacements or anything at all. This power cord looks original, and that looks like the original solder into that socket there. The top of this chassis is metal, and there's these two brackets that hold up the ferrite rod, which seem fairly sturdy, so I think it might support itself if I turn it upside down. So being careful, I'll just lift it onto this towel and roll it over. So there we go. One thing I noticed is there's these open contacts on the clock here, which suggests that if it's not working, they may be able to be cleaned. It all looks to be completely intact and unmolested, but I suspect probably all of these caps will be leaky. Oh, look at that one. That one there doesn't look well at all. It looks as if it's been getting hot as well as cracked. Okay, let's have a look at the transformer here. I'll just feed this wire out a bit so I can see a bit better. These rubber wires just feel soft. They're covered in this dusty stuff, probably just dust, but they're soft. I suppose this set would be late 50s. I think this model came out a little bit after the others. I think 56, 57 or something. I'll have to look up Radio Museum's listing on it, see what it says. I was able to download a schematic from Kevin Chant's website. Thanks again, Kevin. Very useful. And in fact, I've got the whole service manual. So this shows me the clock connections, the plug connections, and importantly it also has DC resistance of windings for just about everything, including the power transformer. So the primary should be 50 ohms, secondary 300. So let's just have a look at them, see how they are. First let's have a look across the primary. That's suggesting I've got low battery there, so I may not get really good readings. I've got another meter I can use. I must get another battery for this one. 55.5 ohms, that's pretty close, good enough. And the secondary, now that'll be the centre tap there. 180, and the other side of it 168, right across it. Go to the next range. 348. It's in the shadow of my arm there, but 348 was the reading on that. Now, referring to the notes again, it says in some receivers, this is the primary, reading may be as high as 60 ohms. Alright, so I think that's pretty much in order. The two sides of the secondary, either side of the centre tap, will be different because of the length of wire involved to create the same number of turns, if that makes sense. This one here, following the schematic, it goes from the plate of the output tube to ground, and it looks pretty bad. It looks cooked just there, great big crack in it. And also this one here, I think, is the grid capacitor for the output valve. It goes from the plate of the preamp here and via this resistor, which is buried under here, onto the plate. I've just traced this through. So I think before I do too much, I need to replace that and that. I can probably just cut this off for the moment. And these two electrolytics, of course, are highly suspect. Okay, well, being impatient, I've decided to plug it in on dim bulb, despite the state of some of those capacitors, and see what happens. Now, the caps may not withstand it, I don't know. But we'll see. They're going to have to be replaced anyway, and this is not the world's most valuable radio. You can buy these things for 50 bucks, I'm told, anywhere. So, on dim bulb, now the radio is not going to be operational initially, so the first switch on will just be the clock, see if that works. So let's just try that. Nothing happening. And no sign of life from the clock. Now, bearing in mind there's nothing else connected to this, I'm going to put it off dim bulb and onto full power. Still no sign of life from the clock. So that's not working. Alright, I thought as much. Okay, so we're back on dim bulb. I'm going to try turning the radio onto manual. Okay, we've got a faint glow from the dim bulb, and it's not doing anything. Certainly no sound. No smoke yet either, so that's, I guess, a good thing. We're tempting fate here a bit. I can see a glow in the dim bulb, just not hearing anything though. Not hearing a thing. And I don't really want to take it off dim bulb at this point. It's not in a fit state to do that. The fact that there's no sound at all. Oh, I don't know if you can hear that. There is a slight hiss from the speaker. Alright, I'm going to turn it off for the moment so as not to stress those caps too much. It does have an aerial wire here. Maybe if I hook an aerial onto it, you never know. Seems unlikely, but you never know. Okay, so I checked the chassis is grounded, so there's no point in worrying about chassis to ground voltages, so I'm not going to kill myself if I touch it. Put it on dim bulb again. Turn the volume up full and just see if we get anything. The clock's not doing anything. Not a sound from it. So let's just have a look, and that one there is a bit warm. It's hard to tell because it's a hot day. That doesn't feel, that one feels warm. Don't know. There's only half a dozen caps in it anyway, and the electrolytics. I'm tempted to just change them and see how we go from there. After that I might be prepared to put full power on it and see what happens. So yeah, let's do that. I'll just change out those electrodes on the paper caps and see what difference that makes. Alright, well I've got a couple of 24 UF caps here, so let's have these electrolytics out for a start. That'll give me some room to work as well. They look surprisingly good. Oh, that one's got a little bit of bulging around here. And while I'm under here, there's this 0.05 cap here with a dirty big crack in it, so I'll change that. Okay, so that's the first electrolytic done, and I've changed that 0.047 there. So on to the next electrolytic and a few more. Well, there we are, pretty much all done. Didn't go over the top tidy, but it's a reasonable job, I guess. And here's the casualty list. So the two electrolytics, of course, this one's badly cracked. They've all got cracks through them, some worse than others. This one fell apart when I took it out. The rest of them are quite badly cracked up, so I would imagine that they were probably leaky. That will have allowed moisture into it. Looking at the construction of these, yeah, any cracks through there would allow moisture into the centre. So they're well out of there, I think. So the next thing to do is I'll just pull these cords back through, tidy it up, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so I've turned it upside down. I've pulled those cords through and tidied them up. Got it plugged into the dim bulb, and I've got the meter on the B plus, on the plate voltage of the output valve. So we should have 250 volts DC on the plate of the output tube. So let's just turn it on and see if it goes bang. We've got a faint glow from the dim bulb, which has gone away, and we'll see if it brightens up again. Got some plate voltage coming up here, 30, 40, 50. Not hearing anything at all still. 180. Actually, that's about where it was before. It's on dim bulb though, of course. Okay, so that's on. I'm hearing a slight crackle, but that's all. Alright, well, I'll put it off dim bulb because there's obviously no dead shorts in it or anything. And we got up to 218, 20, 230, 235 volts on the plate. It's supposed to be 250, but that's not too bad unless there's something else still shorting it. I'm still not hearing anything. No sense of it trying to tune a station or anything. So either the oscillator's not running or something else is not right there. From the fact that we've got crackles in the speaker, that suggests the amplifier stage is running. Let's give the valves a wiggle. Nothing happening there. Yep, no, nothing. Nothing. Well, sometimes you get lucky and radios spring to life and sometimes you don't, and this is one of the times you don't. It's obviously not going to cooperate with us. It is making some slight crackling noises, but I think that the oscillator's not running or something, and I'm afraid the crackling might be silver mica disease. I don't really know. Anyway, certainly a bit of fault finding is required, so I'll get into that. But I'm going to have to call this the end of this episode. I hope you've enjoyed this, the radio and the travel stuff. Leave some comments, let me know what you think, and we'll catch you next time when we'll have a good look at this and find out what's going on. Catch you then.